Right now on Morning News Now, a recovery mission, now a salvage operation. The remains of two construction workers along with a black box pulled from the water following that catastrophic cargo ship collision and collapse of Baltimore's Key Bridge.
It's difficult to overstate the impact of this collision. Any private party that is found responsible and liable will be held accountable.
Now, new questions about what went wrong and how it could have been prevented. We're going to bring you the latest. Also this morning, the political world paying tribute to Joe Lieberman, the former senator and VP candidate, has died at the age of 82. We'll look back at his life and his history-making career in Washington. Plus, contagion concerns. Cases of the measles rising across the U.S. as vaccination rates go down. What doctors want you to know. And we're flipping the script with Abbott Elementary star William Stanford Davis. That show was his big break, and now at 72 years old, he says his career in Hollywood is just getting started. An inspiring conversation we look forward to bringing you a little bit later on this Thursday morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off. We're going to begin with the bridge collapse in Baltimore, where the recovery mission has now turned into a salvage operation. Officials say it is no longer safe for divers to navigate or operate around the debris created by the fallen Francis Scott Key Bridge. The NTSB released new video giving us a closer look at the damage left behind after a cargo ship crashed into the bridge's pillar early Tuesday morning. Divers have recovered the data recorder from the ship. Searchers in the port of Baltimore found two victims yesterday who were inside a red pickup when the bridge collapsed. 4 others are presumed dead and are still missing. The investigation into the accident is expected to take up to 2 years. The NTSB chair who's leading the investigation says crews are working to salvage as much as they can.
Our entire focus on scene is to collect the perishable evidence. That's documenting the scene, it's taking photographs, it's taking any sort of electronics or components, whatever goes away once the scene is cleaned up. We need to collect that information for our investigation.
We have full coverage this hour, including our conversation with a former Navy diving chief to help us better understand the recovery mission. But let's begin with NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton in Baltimore. Antonia, good morning. So what's the latest on the investigation as this salvage operation gets underway? And what more are we learning about the contents of what was on the ship?
Good morning, Joe. Well, we know investigators are now boarding the ship after for the initial hours they were unable to do so. And we know that there are about 56 or so, dozens of containers with potentially hazardous materials on them, oil, other flammables. We also know, of course, that there is still immense amounts of cargo and other goods that certainly they're going to be looking for logs, going through what they know is actually still salvageable there. And then we know that they got access to the voyage data recorder. And, you know, that's essentially kind of the black box that you would hear about on an airplane. And what they're going to do is they've already brought it back to a lab, and they're going to use that data to essentially create a play-by-play, a timeline of all that they know about what was happening with and on the ship in the moments leading up to this tragic collision. And you should take a listen to some of the words of the NTSB chair, who has been very clear with reporters here on the ground that this is a very methodical and at times slow information gathering process. Take a look.
56 containers of hazardous materials. That's 764 tons of hazardous materials, mostly corrosives, flammables. Some of the hazmat containers were breached. We have seen sheen on the waterway. The federal, state, and local authorities are aware of that, and they will be in charge of addressing those issues.
Officials have been very clear here, Joe, that it is going to take a while, and they're not frankly comfortable at this point giving an exact timeline or estimate about when things like the port might be open or jobs that depend on this area and this local economy will be right back and up to normal. And that's because every step of this is going to be very complicated. The cleanup effort and the information recovery effort, all of what's going to really be a multinational investigation as they coordinate with different corporations and companies involved in just this one vessel here. So the only thing people seem to be very sure of is that we have a long road ahead right now, Joe.
And Antonia, let's talk about the victims. 2 were recovered yesterday. Another 2 have been identified. What are we learning about those who lost their lives in this tragedy?
Well, we've learned just last night from the governor and other officials right here that they recovered 2 victims in a pickup truck submerged about 25 feet in the water. The victims were Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, 35 years old, and Dorlian Castillo Cabrera, 26 years old. And NBC News has had the opportunity, and also Telemundo, to speak with family, loved ones, friends of the victims. We've learned that they are men, fathers from places like Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Mexico, that they came here to build up their families, to, contribute to this country and to the community of Baltimore. And, people here have just had an outpouring of love and support for these grieving families. And the immigrant community here has also really stepped up. Organizations that provide them with support, rights, friendships, church, and all the basis of community here. They're trying to step up right now and offer people support, counseling, and just an opportunity to process all of this as really a thanks to their memory and to the service they were providing that night, trying to do repairs on this bridge, something that everyone in this area would benefit from. And people don't want that to be forgotten, Joe.
No doubt. Certainly we are thinking of their friends and families as well. Antonia, thank you so much for your reporting this morning. For more, we're joined now by former Navy diving chief, retired Captain Bobby Scully. Thank you so much for joining us. Now that this has transitioned from this search and rescue to a salvage recovery mission, what does that mean for search crews?
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. And I want to also convey my deepest condolences to the families of the victims. As divers, that's always our priority, is to recover the victims so that the families can get closure. But even though it's switched over to a salvage recovery, I think the divers will still have in the back of their minds that the priority is to bring back those victims. But as it shifts over to the salvage phase, the divers are going to have to switch modes and think about the stability of the debris field and how they're going to start lifting that structure up to the surface. And that's a whole different ballgame. They're going to have to survey the scene and look at the safest way of getting the rigging around that structure and bring it to the surface and get it out of the way. And that's going to take a lot of engineering skills and a different type of diving, shifting from scuba diving, which is allows them to move freely in the water. They'll probably have to bring in surface-applied hard hat diving for protection, possibly underwater cutting, which is a whole different skill set. And then, of course, a lot of topside equipment, cranes and barges. So it's a huge operation.
And so many challenges they're facing. How long could this recovery mission take?
It's going to take weeks, possibly months. I think back to the large-scale operation that I was involved in, TWA Flight 800. It took us 4 months to get the bulk of the aircraft, although that was deeper water. We're talking relatively shallow here, no deeper than about 50 feet. So the depth of water isn't quite as bad, and the structure is all in one location, and we know where all the structure is. But this is very heavy debris. The concrete and the metal is very heavy, and it's all interconnected. So that's going to pose some problems. Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, we're talking at least many weeks, maybe even into some months. Okay. But I'm sure the Unified Command is going to put together a very experienced team, whether it's commercial or government, and get to it as quickly as possible.
All right. Bobby Scully, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your expertise.
My pleasure.
Former U.S. Senator and Democratic vice presidential candidate Joe Lieberman has died at the age of 82. His family says that he passed away yesterday after suffering complications from a fall. The four-term Connecticut senator started his career as a centrist Democrat and was the first Jewish American on a presidential ticket, running with Al Gore in 2000. Later, he became an independent, endorsing his friend, Republican John McCain, in his run for the White House in 2008. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Cirin is here with us in New York to talk more about the senator's legacy. He is someone who is known as a centrist, a long, complex career. What is he being remembered for most this morning?
So many things. I mean, his career in the Senate was 24 years. Like you said, he was the first Jewish member of the Senate. He also was the first Jewish American to be on a presidential ticket as the vice presidential nominee for Al Gore in 2000, and later became actually the first Jewish member again, or American, to run for president, right? It was unsuccessful 4 years after he was on the Al Gore ticket. But look, his time in the Senate was really transformational, and you could see that by the statements of remembrance yesterday from Republicans and Democrats. He forged partnerships across the aisle. He spoke out in favor of the U.S. invasion in Iraq after 9/11. You know, he really shepherded so many important pieces of legislation. And most recently, he was the public face of the No Labels effort to try and get this unity ticket for 2024. So really, he touched all parts of politics.
You know, he could reach across the aisle. Maybe sometimes he could even upset Democrats with things that he said or stances that he took. What were the things that were most important to him, the issues he focused on most?
Well, look, he changed, of course, his affiliation to an independent Democrat in 2006, in part because he wasn't supported by the Democratic Party after he, like I said, supported the invasion of Iraq, sided with Republican colleagues like John McCain, Lindsey Graham, his two close friends when he was in the Senate. But even though he was an independent, he still was a Democrat on economic issues, on climate issues, on many social issues. You know, after 9/11, he really was the legislative father, if you will, of the Homeland Security Department. This was an agency he felt was so important to create after the terrorist attacks in this city all those years ago. But later on, you know, many criticized him for sort of standing in the way. You know, President Obama's most signature piece of legislation, the Affordable Care Act, for example, trying to pull back certain pieces of that when it came to a public option and so forth. And he angered Democrats as well in 2008 when he endorsed John McCain over Barack Obama, who was a new colleague to him at the time in the Senate. So he really transformed politics. He's a rare voice. We don't see many like him nowadays.
Especially nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's being remembered as such, too.
Are we hearing from Al Gore at all this morning?
We are. And, you know, Al Gore really chose Joe Lieberman as his running mate, you know, really after all the allegations against Bill Clinton, who, to be clear, Lieberman was a fan of his administration. And I want to read you a part of what Al Gore had to say today. You see it on your screen. He said, Joe was a man of deep integrity who dedicated his life to serving his country. He was truly a gifted leader whose affable personality and strong will made him a force to be reckoned with. And, you know, Gore chose him because Lieberman was an independent voice. He spoke out very strongly in those allegations against Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky, sort of causing a rift with many Democrats, even though he voted not to convict him ultimately in the Senate trial. But he was really an independent voice, and certainly Al Gore saw him as such, too.
All right. Julie Cirin, thank you so much. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. Former President Trump is ramping up social media attacks against the judge in his New York hush money case, less than a day after that judge issued a partial gag order. In Tuesday's ruling, Judge Juan Merchan said that Trump must refrain from making public statements about the court staff, witnesses, and other figures in the case, but it failed to mention the judge or the judge's family. And it did not take long for Trump to take to his social media platform, Truth Social. In a flurry of posts, Trump labeled Merchan as a hater, repeated his call for the judge to recuse himself from the case. He also took aim at the judge's daughter for working in progressive politics. Trump claimed it is, quote, completely impossible for him to get a fair trial. Last August, Merchan declined to recuse himself from the case and said he is certain of his ability to be fair and impartial. NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos joins us now with more on this. So, Danny, Judge Merchan issued this gag order, but it looks like Trump maybe found a loophole, you could say. I mean, tell us about that and just how common is a gag order like this? It's an issue we've talked about a lot over the last few months.
On the one hand, gag orders are pretty rare, and they're always controversial because they bring head-to-head several different competing, directly conflicting constitutional concerns. On the one hand, you have the liberties of the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. But then on the other hand, the court needs to preserve the defendant's and the public's right to a fair trial, which is somewhat ironic because here the person arguably threatening that fair trial is the person that the amendment was designed to protect, which is Donald Trump. But nevertheless, that's what gag orders do, and that's why they're always controversial, because they're always arguably violating some constitutional concern. And in a case like this, the judge actually did, I think, a wise thing, leaving that loophole, which I think was probably deliberate, because gag orders, the constitutionality of them, depends not only on who you're protecting, but it also depends on who you're targeting. So, for example, lawyers are the easiest to gag because we're officers of the court. We've already kind of consented to that kind of control. On the other hand, members of the press are much harder to gag. Those will almost always be unconstitutional as prior restraint.
So do you expect the judge is going to amend the gag order to include himself or include his family, or do you think he's going to say, no, I'm fair game, I'm not going to add myself to this?
I don't think so. I think the judge will keep the gag order the way it is, but I think Donald Trump will continue to push the limits. Yes, you could call this a loophole, but I don't think it was accidental. I think the judge deliberately left a carve-out for himself. After all, judges are politicians. They do get scrutinized. But let me just make completely clear. There are two reasons why what Trump is doing is a horrible idea. Number one, you should never criticize judges because I think ethically, at least for a lawyer, it's not right. But number two, it's a horrible idea for your case because you turn the judge against you. And I know a thing or two about annoying judges, so I can tell you it is not a good idea, and I've regretted it every time I've done it myself.
I have trouble believing that, Danny. I feel like
you have no idea.
All of the judges love you. So you mentioned this. There's this issue here. You're balancing safety versus right to free speech and First Amendment rights, especially when the person on trial is a former president who's running for president again. But if Mr. Trump does violate the gag order, what are some of the penalties that could be enforced here?
A judge has a number of different remedies. There's this inherent power of the court to control the courtroom and protect people like witnesses and jurors, which is critically important. And that will also go into the factors of whether or not a gag order is valid. So you have everything from a verbal reprimand all the way up to, at the other end of the spectrum, is incarceration. You can find someone in criminal contempt and send them to jail. But I got to tell you something, Joe. No judge wants to try and send Trump to jail for contempt or for violation of a gag order. It would be an administrative nightmare. No judge wants that, and I think Trump knows it, and I think that's why he's pushing the limit. He'll take a $10,000 fine, whatever. It's worth it. It's money well spent in his mind, and I think he's just daring these judges to send him downstairs to the holding cell, and I just don't think any of them would want to do that. I certainly wouldn't if I were a judge.
All right. Danny Savalos, appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you as always. The White House says Israel wants to reschedule a meeting with U.S. officials aimed at discussing Israel's planned ground offensive of Rafah in southern Gaza. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Netanyahu canceled a visit to Washington by a senior Israeli delegation. That's because instead of vetoing a UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the release of all hostages, the U.S. abstained. The State Department says it hopes to persuade Israel against attacking Rafah, which is home to more than 1 million displaced Palestinians.
We do think it's important that that meeting happen. As we've said, we think that the plan that Israel has said it intends to pursue with respect to Rafah is one that would be a mistake, that would have enormous, a terrible impact on the civilian population there and would weaken Israel's security. And we think there's a better way. And we want to have the opportunity to present that better alternative to Israel.
Let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez, who's in Tel Aviv. So, Raf, do we know why Israel is reversing its decision to take part in this meeting? Are U.S. officials hopeful they can still try and stop this ground attack on Rafah?
Yeah, Joe, some real whiplash here. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu very publicly canceling this meeting and then quietly trying to get it back on the schedule. Now, he was hosting a couple of Republican senators in Jerusalem yesterday. He spoke to the media. He said he canceled that meeting as a message to Hamas. Now, the logic there, not totally self-evident, but he seems to be saying that He is not going to allow Hamas to wait Israel out diplomatically, wait for Israel to be pushed into a ceasefire by the United States without releasing those hostages. The fact that he is now trying to reschedule this meeting might be an indication that he is concerned about the strains in the U.S.-Israel relationship right now. He may also have called off this meeting partly for domestic political reasons to show that he is standing up to the Biden administration, something that is important to a lot of Netanyahu's right-wing voters. That is the politics. In terms of the substance here, the fact that this meeting looks like it is going to be rescheduled suggests that Israel is going to hold off on any major ground offensive in Rafah, at least until the other side of this meeting. It is not at all clear, though, that American officials are going to be able to dissuade the Israeli government from moving ahead in Rafah. You've heard the Prime Minister say again and again he believes the only way Israel can win this war is to go in on the ground in Rafah in a major way to destroy what he says are 4 Hamas battalions hiding in the city. The goal of the Biden administration is to try to convince him that there is a more surgical, a more targeted approach that Israel can take that will still achieve its objectives, but spare those million-plus civilians sheltering in Gaza. Jeff.
So, Raf, even though this ground offensive has not yet started, Israel has been bombing Rafah for months now. Our NBC News team in Gaza did capture video of the latest Israeli airstrike that hit homes there. What more can you tell us about that? And just what is the overall situation right now in Rafah?
Yeah, Joe, so you're looking at the aftermath of strikes that happened Tuesday into Wednesday. As you said, Israel has not gone into Rafah on the grounds yet, but it has been bombing intensively for a long time. 11 people were killed in these strikes, according to witnesses who spoke to our unbelievably courageous NBC colleagues who are on the ground in Rafah right now. Part of the reason these strikes are so deadly, Joe, is that several of them happening at night. So people are asleep. There is no time to get out, 3, 4 a.m. in some cases. And also just when you have 1 million+ people packed into Rafah, even if Israel is targeting very surgically, just the chances of civilians being caught up in that bombing is very high. It's also worth saying these strikes happened just about 24 hours or so after the UN Security Council passed that resolution which called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. It called for Hamas to immediately and unconditionally release the hostages. And this is just a really grim reminder of how little impact that Security Council resolution is actually having on the ground. Jeff.
Raf, I also wanted to ask you about the UN human rights expert on the occupied Palestinian territories. This week she released a report saying that there were reasonable grounds to say that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Now she's talking about threats she's receiving. What's going on here?
Right. So this is a similar argument to the one you heard South Africa make in front of the International Court of Justice. Basically, when you look at the scale of the civilian casualties, when you look at the scale of the devastation in Gaza, and when you look at some of these statements made by Israeli officials, especially in the early days of the war, talking about cutting off all food and water, this expert is arguing there is a reasonable case that Israel is committing genocide. Take a listen to what she had to say yesterday.
I've always I've been attacked since the very beginning of my mandate. I don't say that it's been a pleasant journey. Most of the pain comes from where I have to observe and monitor and investigate day by day. Yeah, I do receive threats. Israel's executive and military leadership and soldiers have intentionally distorted using bello principles, subverted their protection functions in an attempt to legitimize genocidal violence against the Palestinian people.
Now, Joe, I should say Israel is saying this report is an obscene inversion of reality. They are dismissing it completely. This expert also is not a UN official in the sense of being the head of one of the major UN agencies. She is an outside expert. She is controversial. She has a history of picking fights on Twitter, and she was condemned for some comments she made last year suggesting that October 7th was not an anti-Semitic attack. Jeff.
Raf, thank you so much for your reporting. Appreciate it. Time now for your morning News Now weather forecast. Our good friend Bill Cairns is here with us with a look ahead. Bill, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Joe. And I'm going to trust, because you're an outstanding anchor and reporter, that you've noticed it's been a little wet this morning.
I did notice rain. My journalistic skills kicked in, and I noticed that I was wet as I came into work.
Yeah, and you're not alone. The East Coast has been soaked. It's soaked this morning. And now we're getting into almost like record territory in a few areas. So Providence, Rhode Island, so far this March, not including what's rained since midnight, we're up almost to 10 inches. It's already the second wettest March you have on record. We're not going to beat the all-time record. That was back in 2010. I don't know what happened there. I go back and look, but 16 inches of rain. So we're not going to beat that, but we are going to get another probably about 1.5 inches to 2 inches with the storm that's currently ongoing. So as we go throughout the day today, here's at 2 p.m. So you notice that rain is ending in areas of South Carolina, still pouring in the Outer Banks areas all the way through the Albemarle and Pamlico Sounds, right through coastal regions. Now, notice Washington, D.C. We also have a baseball game. The Orioles game is going to be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Looks like showers ending at that time. And then steadier rains continue up from New York to Boston, even through the evening rush hour. Anywhere from the Jersey Shore, Long Island, up into New England, you'll be going home in the rain today. And it pours all evening long in areas of northern Maine. Because we've had the recent rainfall, we do have flood watches that are up. We haven't had any bad flooding as of now, but we think later today some of the higher totals will come in, and that's when the rivers could rise a little bit. So additional rain on top of what you already had. Another inch possible in New Bern, the Norfolk, Virginia Beach areas. New York City, not much more. D.C., looks like you're just about done. Boston, though, another 1.5 inches as we go throughout the day today. So how does this all shape up as we head towards the weekend? Friday, we watch that storm exit. Beautiful Friday from the plains all the way to the East Coast. The next big storm will be coming into the west. That's where we'll have to deal with Saturday with a flood risk, some storms in areas of Southern California. And then by the time we get to Sunday, that mess will be heading into the Rockies. But it looks like a really nice Easter Sunday for the East Coast. Much of the South should have no problem either. Problem areas, if we're going to have any, will be areas, say, Chicago to Indianapolis and other areas down there to the south. Should be doing just fine as far as the sunshine goes. A little wandering here.
Bill's giving you a tour of the studio this morning. Bill, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. All right. Much more to come here on Morning News Now later this hour. He's flipping the script with his breakout role in the hit show Abbott Elementary. My conversation with actor William Stanford Davis, who says he waited decades before his big break. Up first after the break, it is sentencing day for the so-called king of crypto turned convicted conman, Sam Bankman-Fried. We're going to break down what to expect next. Stay with us. It's a day of reckoning for convicted CEO Sam Bankman-Fried. The former crypto king will be sentenced in a New York courtroom this morning for his role in the multi-billion-dollar fraud that led to the collapse of the FTX cryptocurrency exchange. In November, the 32-year-old was found guilty by a federal jury of fraud and conspiracy. Prosecutors want Bankman-Fried to serve up to 50 years in prison, with one U.S. attorney calling it, quote, one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. Here with more is NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung. So, Brian, first of all, give us a reminder how we got to this point here.
Yeah, we have to rewind to 2022 when this really big crypto exchange where people were trading Bitcoin and other types of currencies spectacularly collapsed. Now, the CEO at the time, Sam Bankman-Fried, he was alleged to have used $10 billion in customer funds to fund a lavish lifestyle in the Caribbean, and then also use the money to try to make some risky bets that ultimately didn't work out, which led to the collapse of this company. Now let's fast forward to about 4 months ago in November, when a court found him guilty of 7 charges, including fraud and conspiracy. Now today is going to be the end of that whole court proceeding in the form of that sentencing. Now the challenge here is whether or not they should go with what the prosecutors are recommending of 40 to 50 years in prison, or if they want to go with what his attorneys are arguing should be a max of 6.5 years. So where does the judge kind of land in the middle of that? That remains to be seen. We'll find out later on.
Do we have any insight into what the judge could do, what the options are here, and could contrition from SBF play a role here?
Well, I mean, certainly that's what his attorneys are hoping for, right? That if Sam Bankman-Fried can show the judge, or has already shown the judge, that he feels guilty about the whole situation, then maybe they'll give him a more lenient sentence. Now, again, it's likely going to be somewhere between that 6.5 or for 40 to 50 years. But again, it's going to depend on how they look at the merits of the case. Now, those that are arguing, again, on the prosecutor's side that he should get many decades in prison, they have pointed to the tens of thousands of people who have lost a lot of money. Again, it was $10 billion in customer funds that were gambled away by FTX. And, you know, the allegation there is that, well, if he was so callous and was using that money to hobnob with celebrities and party it up in the Caribbean, then it doesn't show that he really feels all that guilty about it. But then his attorneys are saying, actually, if you look at his diary, which has been submitted in the record, you can see a picture of a person who has deep social anxiety, a lot of concerns about whether or not he could actually fit into those social circles. So that's going to be very, very much part of the decision there.
What about that $10 billion?
Yeah, well, I mean, for right now, there's a court down in Delaware because there was a bankruptcy administrator that was put in place after the 2022 collapse of this company that has been trying to figure out a way to recuperate the billions of dollars that were lost. They haven't recuperated dollar for dollar. They've gotten a good amount back. And they say, based off of filings, that they will make people that have legitimate claims whole in terms of how much money they get back. How long does that take, Joe? That remains an open question.
No doubt investors paying close attention to that. All right, Brian Chung, we know you'll stay on this throughout the day. Thank you so much. We're getting an inside look at the unfolding crisis in Haiti. The Biden administration is facing increased pressure from advocates to extend protected status to Haitian migrants who are trying to flee their country or have already made it here to the U.S. But officials tell NBC News there are no plans to change course. The effort to suspend deportations comes as gang violence in Haiti surges, wreaking havoc on communities there. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber spoke with concerned mothers at an orphanage.
Violence in Port-au-Prince is relentless. Police and gangs battling it out in the streets of Haiti's capital city as innocent people hide and run for cover. We traveled to the country's north.
Where we are, it's more than 5 hours away by car from Port-au-Prince.
Within the gates of Mission Life International's orphanage and birthing center, you don't hear gunfire. You hear children laughing, playing, dreaming.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
She says she wants to be a doctor. Outside of the birthing center, mothers are waiting to check in. Sarah El is just 3 months old. She's Jean's fourth child, the first girl.
Do the brothers like having a sister?
A lot.
She tells us she's a nurse, but she doesn't have a job right now. She has a pharmacy, but these days doesn't sell much, and supplies are hard to come by.
You can see they have stuff here, but it is a bit sparse. That is in part because most of the ports in this country are currently controlled by gangs, and that means getting aid in to people who need it the most, medical supplies to places like this. It's very difficult.
For all of the families here, finding clean drinking water or affordable food is a Herculean feat.
Have you had any moments where you've worried that you might not be able to keep your kids safe?
Every day, she tells me, every day, we pray God will keep us safe.
Haiti can be fixed by Haitians.
They say they do not want to live in a Haiti like this.
We need help.
They want some help from the international community to reestablish security, but ultimately they tell us true change will come from Haitians. We don't like people to give us fish, teach us how to fish, Jean tells me.
Because Haitians are able to do it themselves.
Yes. Ellison Barber, NBC News.
Let's get more on the pressure facing the Biden administration over dealing with Haitian migrants from Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. So, Julia, hundreds of human rights groups have reached out to the Biden administration, pushing them to rethink how to handle Haitian migrants. First of all, take us through what they're calling for and what is the current policy.
Well, Ellison's piece perfectly lays out a lot of the reasons why they're calling for more protected status for Haitians who are already living here, as well as Haitians who are trying to flee. The Biden administration has interdicted Haitians at sea trying to flee and sent them back. When they send them back, they don't send them to Port-au-Prince, but outside of that, saying that that might be safer. But what these 481 organizations are saying is exactly what Ellison experienced. It's really not safe anywhere because the country is so unstable. So they're saying that the U.S. should suspend end its policy of repatriating Haitians that they interdict at sea, and that they should allow people who are here already to be able to stay under temporary protected status, allow them to live and work here legally, much as they did after the 2010 earthquake, and also just like they did this summer for Venezuelans. They say that the crisis in Haiti right now is much worse than what the crisis was in Venezuela in July, but that simply the Biden administration was under political pressure to grant that status so that cities like New York could get Venezuelans working again. They say that the time right now in Haiti is so dire that they should change course.
So how is the Biden administration responding to all this pressure? What are you hearing from U.S. officials?
Look, I think there are a lot of people saying this is a really hard place to be, that there are no easy choices. Some people described it as heartbreaking. Some people said, look, I really don't have a way to defend this policy, but we're not changing it. Essentially, DHS is going to continue with its policies, although they are not running deportation flights to Haiti right now, but they haven't formally suspended them. It's basically just that they don't have a place to land a plane inside Port-au-Prince because the gangs have taken over the airport. So right now they're continuing to interdict people at sea. They're not granting TPS. They have absolutely no plans to change course, Joe. They say they always look at contingency plans, but right now the U.S. is actually leaning more on the State Department, trying to give aid. They say that the U.S. remains the #1 provider of humanitarian assistance to Haiti, and they've been able to provide over $100 million, about $170 million since October of 2022, helping 1.5 million Haitians. But those advocates say, look, a lot of what's happening in Haiti right now is because of a history of bad policies from the United States that have propped up certain governments, and that they think that the U.S. should now be able to welcome these Haitians who are fleeing the violence that they say is partially U.S. caused.
In what situations is temporary protected status usually granted? Do we have an idea of why not here?
Yeah, it's usually granted if there's been some kind of major catastrophe that you wouldn't want to deport someone to that country. That could be political upheaval. It could also be a major natural disaster like the earthquake of 2010. Why not here? They don't want to trigger more migration. Now, that doesn't seem like it would make any sense, because what TPS does is it means everyone's here by a certain date. If you made that March 28th, 2024, that means no Haitians coming in tomorrow could actually stay here legally. But what they think it does, and I've heard this in the past for other countries, is they think that the message gets misconstrued, and it does create more of a pull factor for more migrants thinking, well, if I can just get in, they'll extend it, they'll change that date, and then I'll have the same luck as my friends, my family that made it to the United States. So they're not granting it in this case because they don't want to encourage more Haitian migration. It's something President Trump has falsely claimed is already happening. There's really been very little immigration to Haiti, from Haiti to the United States since this crisis broke out in late February. But they don't want to send any signals that they're encouraging any Haitians to come to the United States.
And real quickly, advocates for the migrants, what are they saying about that?
Well, they say that and some terms I can't repeat here, but that just doesn't hold up, that that's not true, that these people are desperate and that it is so hard to get out of Haiti. They say for the lucky ones who are able to get on a sailboat because they don't even have the fuel to power an actual power boat, that those people should be taken in, given immediate assistance, and be taken in and given asylum in the United States.
All right, Julia Ainsley, as always, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you. Coming up, a growing threat. Cases of the measles going up as vaccination rates go down. We're going to talk to a doctor about how you can keep your family healthy next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. The CDC is tracking the growing number of measles cases in the U.S. as vaccination rates continue to fall. The agency has recorded 64 cases across 17 states. That number is up from the 59 total cases recorded in 2023, a sign that as vaccination rates drop, the highly contagious viral disease is posing a growing threat. Abby Dodge from our Kansas City affiliate takes a closer look.
Doctors in the metro do not have waiting rooms full of patients with measles. The most recent case was tracked through KCI by a Liberty resident in mid-January. But the state of Missouri is taking note of a rise in cases nationally. Cities like Chicago and Miami have reported multiple cases in children. Dr. Todd Fristow is a St. Luke's family medicine physician.
I don't think we want to scare people and make them alarmed. Oh, we're all going to get, measles and have all kinds of trouble, but have people be aware of it.
Doctors recommend kids get their first MMR dose at 12 to 15 months. That has a protection rate of 93%. The second dose bumps up that rate to 97%. Children typically receive their second dose from 4 to 6 years old. Dr. Fristow says that he's gotten more questions about vaccines in the last few years.
It's very important as healthcare professionals to validate their concerns. That doesn't mean you agree with all of their concerns, but you validate them and you understand that they truly are concerned for the well-being of their family or their children or their loved ones.
Measles is a highly contagious virus. If I have measles and show up to a meeting with 10 other colleagues who haven't been vaccinated or haven't had measles before, up to 9 of them could contract the virus. Say you forgot your phone at that meeting and come and grab it an hour or 2 later. The measles virus is still hanging in the air.
So it's very easily contracted if you're exposed to someone with measles.
A 95% vaccination rate is recommended for herd immunity. DHSS in Missouri says public schools are reporting a 90.5% MMR vaccine rate for kindergartners this school year. That's down from 95.4 in 2016. Some pediatric offices require all patients to be vaccinated. Dr. Fristow says sometimes it takes few visits before patients are comfortable with a vaccine.
It's just all about being respectful to that other person and listen to their concerns and then try to guide them to accurate sources of information.
Abby Dodge, thank you for that report. So let's bring in NBC News medical fellow Dr. Akshay Syal for more on this. So let's talk about how is it you spot measles in kids? What makes it more likely to spread and contract?
Yeah, so Joe, anyone unvaccinated is at risk for measles. And the reason, we hear about it more in kids in terms of these outbreaks are a couplefold. The first, most adults actually have immunity to measles in this country. Secondly, when we talk about what kids are doing in school, a lot of them are closely congregated. They're sort of, sharing things, a lot of germs flying around. So that's another reason we hear about this so much in kids. But also, Joe, kids are at highest risk of severe disease, particularly those under the age of 5. Now, some adults also are included in this, those over the age of 20 and those with, immunocompromised conditions. But like you heard in that package, if you were to walk into a room, you can imagine in kindergarten, if you are somebody who has measles and you walk into a room and there's 10 unvaccinated people in that room, 9 of them are likely to get sick. So this is a really, really contagious disease and why everybody's, really alert about this.
And that is incredibly eye-opening to know just how contagious it is. What are the risks associated with measles?
So the symptoms of measles first are, fevers, rash, cough, things that we see with other viruses as well. But really the risk, the reason we're so worried about this, Joe, about 1 in 5 unvaccinated people can be hospitalized. About 1 in 1,000 can develop encephalitis or inflammation of the brain. About 1 to 3 in 1,000, this disease does prove fatal. And there is something else that is unique to measles that I think a lot of people should know that a lot of people don't know is that if you get measles and you recover, measles can actually dampen your immune system and weaken your immune system, making you more likely to get things that you would fight off normally, like pneumonias or other bacterial infections. So a lot of complications, Joe, with this one.
Conquering childhood measles really was like a public health success story. Yeah. And, this year we've only seen 64 cases. Could be a bigger number, but still it's concerning. What's most concerning is seeing a 5% vaccination drop in 5 years, which is kind of what's opened the door here. If we see another 5% drop in another 5 years, what could that mean?
Yeah, so we have some numbers on this, Joe. So 95%, like you heard in that report, is the sort of gold standard we want for herd immunity, meaning that the spread can be kept at bay. Nationally now, we're seeing that number dip to 93%, which doesn't sound like a huge drop, but if you a small percent of that is still a large number. About 250,000 kindergartners are at risk just with that small drop in vaccination. So, this is a vaccine that, unlike other vaccines, if you do get the vaccine, you are less likely to spread it. So it is something that, you get at about the age of 12 to 15 months, another dose about 4 to 6 months or 4 to 6 years of age. And most adults, fortunately, have had the vaccine in this country.
All right, Dr. Akshay Syal, appreciate your expertise. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Anytime.
Coming up, regulating AI. Up next, the new rules just announced by the White House that could impact how federal agencies use the technology. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. New this morning, the White House just rolled out its first set of government-wide guardrails for AI. CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and other money headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. Yes, so the White House laid out new requirements for federal use of artificial intelligence this morning. Agencies that want to use AI will have to designate chief AI officers and establish governance boards within 2 months. The Biden administration will also require them to establish safeguards for the use of the emerging technology and public annual reports on how they're managing AI risk. TikTok is taking its fight for survival to American TVs. The social media company launched a $2.1 million advertising campaign with a message for senators. Block the House bill that would effectively ban the app in the U.S. According to analytics company AdImpact, TikTok plans to air the spots in Nevada, Montana, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. All 5 of those states are represented by vulnerable Senate Democrats running for another term. People in New York, Massachusetts, and Minnesota can also expect to see the ads. And Canada's maple syrup supply is at a 16-year low, but thankfully you won't have to find an alternative for your pancakes just yet. The reserve, which is housed in Quebec, only contains about 7 million pounds of syrup right now. That's the lowest it's been since 2008. Industry officials say the supply has been hit by a large international demand for syrup, as well as warmer weather, which disrupted production. But for now, they don't forecast any supply issues for customers. Oh, my goodness, Joe. What am I going to put on my chicken and waffles?
Pancakes and waffles. Rejoice. Hopefully no issues in the near future. Right. Savannah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Coming up, we are flipping the script with actor William Stanford Davis, better known as Mr. Johnson in the hit show Abbott Elementary, why he says his big break was worth the decades-long wait. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back now with some news that's got the Beehive buzzing. We're, of course, talking about Beyonce, who just posted the track list for her upcoming country album, Cowboy Carter. It includes a cover of Dolly Parton's 1970s classic Jolene, as well as a guest appearance from legend Willie Nelson. Now, as we reported, Queen Bee is set to tap into the country genre in this follow-up to her smash hit, the Renaissance album. But Beyonce says it's not a country album, it's a Beyonce album. Cowboy Carter is set to drop at midnight. Now to our series, Flipping the Script, featuring people on screen, on stage, and behind the scenes, shining a spotlight on diversity. Enter William Stanford Davis. His friends call him Stan, but these days he's best known as Mr. Johnson, the custodian on the award-winning ABC sitcom Abbott Elementary. He's just one of many hilarious characters in the show, which centers on a group of teachers and staff at a public school in Philadelphia. Now, Stan is 72 years old and says he has been waiting a lifetime for a role like this, proof that hard work and patience truly do pay off.
Mr. Johnson, sorry to interrupt whatever this is, but these kids need to stay with you.
Well, it looks like Ava switched this day from Ferris Bueller's Day Off to the Breakfast Club.
How's life right now for you, Stan?
Oh, man, it's like I'm living in a dream. I'm still in pitch myself mode.
Is it fair to say it took a few years to achieve this dream?
Just a few. But, you know, that's any dream worth dreaming is worth putting in the time and the work and the effort. The plot thickens.
How old were you when you decided I'm going to move to L.A. and I'm going to try to break into Hollywood?
I got here when I was 32. I'm 72 now.
40 years.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I worked in a brickyard. Then I worked as a short order cook in a truck stop. I worked as a telemarketer. I drove limousine. I drove some of the people that I work with now.
Can I just draw?
Whatever it takes to keep you out of my hair.
Sir, you are bald.
His big break came a few years ago when he auditioned for the role of the school custodian, Mr. Johnson, on Abbott Elementary. He was only supposed to appear in the pilot, but the show's creator and star, Quinta Brunson, just kept bringing him back, making him a series regular. The man behind the mop finally rose to the top.
I cried, my wife cried, my dog cried. I thought the neighbors were going to call the police. There was so much noise being made in my house.
What has Quinta Brunson meant to you?
Oh, man, there's no words to describe. She's such a kind, just smart, kind person. And as I told her at the end of season 1, I said, Quinta, you changed my life. You know, all you want to be is a working actor. That's all I ever wanted to be. All these things that have happened, all these accolades and things, they're just man, sometimes I get emotional thinking about it.
The story that Abbott Elementary is telling, how important is that? Because it's maybe a story that a lot of folks haven't had the opportunity to see before.
This story should have been told when I was in elementary school because it hasn't changed very much. Teachers are important. They're as important as doctors. They're as important as policemen, and because they impact lives. They change lives like Quincy changed my life. When I encounter teachers out in the world, they tell me how much truth is in what we're doing, along with the comedy. We don't want to get political in any kind of way. We just want to tell the truth about what's happening in schools and how important they are.
Oh, whose cat is this?
I don't know. I just found him in here. He won't budge. I think I'll get some bacon from the lunch lady to try to lure him out.
Cats are pescatarians.
You telling me this cat believes in God?
There's a giant billboard for Abbott Elementary near Times Square. It's huge. Yeah. And you're on it. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. Man, I'm on a billboard in Times Square. Can you believe that? I've had friends send me pictures of it. I never thought that. When I see a bus go by with the show on the bus, I'm like, oh my God, look at what has happened. What is this? This is amazing.
So at age 72, do you feel like your career is just getting started?
I feel like it's just getting started. Abbott is part of the journey. I'm really praying that it's a part of the journey. I hope it's not the destination. All actors would like to do it until they can't do it anymore. And that's the way I feel about it. As we say on the streets, I'm a ride till the wheels fall off.
When I asked what advice he would give aspiring actors of all ages, Davis quoted Duke Ellington saying there are 2 rules in life. Number 1, don't quit. Number 2, never forget rule number 1. William Stanford Davis is certainly proof of that. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning, I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. Right now on Morning News Now, we have taken the show outside of our studio and outside of 30 Rock. That's because of what's across the street here. You see, that's Radio City Music Hall. Some of the biggest performers in the world have taken the stage there. The Radio City Rockettes have their Christmas Spectacular there every year. But today, it is the center of the political universe. President Biden is having a huge star-studded fundraiser there. 2 former presidents are going to be there, former Presidents Clinton and Obama, along with a cavalcade of celebrities. It's a sign that the race for the White House is really kicking into high gear, not just the effort to try and get voters, but also to try and collect money. Millions of dollars could be raised today. I want to bring in our senior White House correspondent, Gabe Gutierrez, who's made his way here to New York. You know, Gabe, typically a rainy Thursday like this, that alone would slow down traffic in Midtown. We're about to see a traffic nightmare when they cut off many of the roads here, right?
Yeah, that's right, Joe. This whole area will be locked down in just a short time. Security is actually already ramping up. And as you said, the Biden campaign is billing this as a historic first-of-its-kind event. The campaign expects about 5,000 people to be here, and they expect the event to rake in more than $25 million. But former President Trump has other plans.
This morning, the Biden campaign is preparing to host a star-studded fundraiser with 3 presidents, Biden, Obama, and Clinton, in a conversation moderated by late-night host Stephen Colbert. The event also set to feature appearances by Lizzo, Queen Latifah, and Ben Platt, among other celebrities, as Democrats set their sights on the general election.
I've never been more optimistic about our future. I know I'm only 40 years old. Times 2 plus 1.
The president's poll numbers are ticking up, but are still shaky. At this time in 2020, Biden was leading Trump by an average of 6 points. Now most polls show a statistical tie or a Trump lead. So the president and vice president are ramping up their travel. Former President Obama is also taking an increasingly active role in the campaign.
Right now, the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party for president says he wants to repeal the entirety of the ACA.
Mr. Trump is firing back, saying he doesn't want to terminate Obamacare, just make it better, even though he's previously said repeatedly that he wanted to replace it.
We're repealing and replacing Obamacare.
While the former president escalates his attacks on the judge presiding over his hush money trial in New York, he's also trying to highlight violent crime in the city and planning to attend the wake of NYPD officer Jonathan Diller, who was shot and killed this week in the line of duty. Today, both candidates heading to high-profile events. Another split-screen moment as the campaign intensifies.
So, Gabe, so far, Democrats have been outpacing Republicans when it comes to fundraising. I have to imagine this is going to help with that.
Yeah, certainly. Democrats have, over the last couple months, doing very well. The cheapest tickets for this event at this iconic venue have gone for about $250, but the largest contributions, Joe, have actually come from people who have given up to $500,000.
That is a huge price tag right there. All right, Gabe Gutierrez, appreciate your reporting this morning. Good to see you here in New York. Let's turn now to the latest from Baltimore. We're learning new information this morning about that deadly collision involving a cargo ship involving the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The bodies of 2 victims have been pulled from the water, but crews have called off the search because conditions are just too dangerous. It's now shifting to a salvage operation. NTSB officials have been able to board and speak with some of the crew on the ship. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the latest from Baltimore.
Yeah, good morning. So we have an awful lot of moving pieces here at the Baltimore port. To begin with, this is now a salvage operation. They have now decided that it's simply too risky to try to go in and find the individual bodies of those who have perished and are still in the water. And so they're going to have to bring in just massive cranes to lift this superstructure up and out of the water. At the same time, they need to prioritize getting this port open as quickly as possible. But the immediate focus today, at this hour here in Baltimore, is on the families of those 6 who died. In Baltimore this morning, a clearer picture now emerging of the disastrous crash that brought down the Francis Scott Key Bridge. NTSB investigators have for the first time boarded the cargo ship, still covered in mangled metal.
It's just utter devastation.
Along with initial interviews of the crew, investigators have now downloaded the ship's voice data recorder, or VDR. The initial timeline shows alarms started sounding at 1:24 a.m. Tuesday. 2 minutes later, the ship's pilot made an urgent call for any nearby tugboats to assist. The pilot radioed again a minute later, saying the ship had lost all power. Traffic cameras showed the ship approaching the bridge before the feed cuts out 2 minutes later when the massive vessel struck the span. The ship had no tugs at all, helping it navigate through the waters before it hit the bridge.
That's correct. It's a straight shot through the channel. So there are no tugs with the vessel at that time.
Police dispatch audio shows officers radioed to stop traffic less than 30 seconds after that distress call, showing officers discussing the crew on the bridge in the moments before the collapse.
Once you get here, I'll go grab the workers on the Key Bridge and then stop the outer loop.
C-13 dispatch, the whole bridge just fell down.
Nearly 25 feet below the water surface, dive teams have discovered a pickup truck with 2 victims inside. Authorities have now called off the search for 4 remaining victims, calling it a salvage operation, saying the water is simply too treacherous, filled with dangerous debris. Maryland's governor sharing how one survivor managed to walk away from the terrifying ordeal.
We literally saw the bridge fall right after he moved off. It was because it was a first responder who was telling him to move off of the bridge.
Now the focus shifts to the daunting task of reopening this vital port. With 8,000 workers directly impacted and concerns of supply chain disruptions.
We are concerned about implications that will ripple out beyond the immediate region.
NTSB investigators today hope to be back on the bridge, interviewing the 2 local pilots who were on board to try to navigate their way, and the ship's way, I should say, through the port. At the same time, the Army Corps of Engineers talking about bringing in a lot of people, a lot of expertise, and that massive crane to eventually raise the wreckage up out of the water. There is no timeline from when this port could open. We're talking weeks at least, and in the meantime, rebuilding the bridge, probably years. Back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. This morning, mounting gang violence in Haiti is raging on, with Haitians and foreign nationals fearing for their safety and pleading for help evacuating the country. So far, the U.S. government has helped hundreds evacuate. NBC's Ellison Barber reports from the Dominican Republic on the border with Haiti.
The violence in Port-au-Prince is relentless. So far this month, more than 33,000 people have been forced to flee the capital city. This morning, fierce violence continues to grip Port-au-Prince. Criminal gangs are intensifying their rampage, targeting citizens and critical infrastructure, causing chaos across the country. Once a sanctuary for children, this school intentionally set on fire by armed gangs, according to UNICEF. The United States is evacuating their citizens almost daily. But with the country's biggest international airport closed, most Haitians are unable to leave. Americans Missy and John Tennant are working tirelessly to try and get their adopted teenage Haitian sons home.
Begging, screaming at the top of our lungs, just saying, please help us get our children out of this deadly situation.
More than 480 human rights organizations are asking the Biden administration for a new designation of temporary protected status for Haitians in the United States and a pause on deportations. But 3 U.S. officials tell NBC News the Biden administration is not planning to change course. At Mission Life International's birthing center, we met mothers trying to care for newborns with their country on the brink of famine. Because gangs currently control the majority of the ports in this country, and most of them are closed, humanitarian aid, medical supplies, it isn't getting in as fast as it's really needed in places like this. Sarael is just 3 months old. She's Jean Erlande Cadet's 4th child. Jean tells us she is a nurse, but she doesn't have a job right now. And finding clean drinking water or affordable food is a Herculean feat. Have you had any moments where you've worried that you might not be able to keep your kids safe? Every day, she tells me. Every day, we pray God will keep us safe. This week, the Biden administration approved a proposal to provide Haiti's national police with weapons, ammunition, bulletproof vests, and helmets, all of it coming from a Department of Homeland Security stockpile. It's worth $10 million, and it is aimed at trying to help Haiti's police restore order in the capital city. Joe?
All right, Ellison, thank you so much. Former Connecticut Senator and Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Joe Lieberman has died at the age of 82. Known as someone who would work across the aisle, Lieberman became an independent and formed strong alliances with other centrists in Congress. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has a look back at Senator Lieberman's storied career.
Devoted to public service and his deep personal faith, Joseph Lieberman was a 4-term U.S. Senator from Connecticut and a man of history as the first Jewish American on a presidential ticket, Al Gore's running mate in 2000.
Tonight, I am so proud to stand as your candidate for Vice President of the United States.
Senator Lieberman died in New York. A statement from his family said his passing followed complications from a fall. A hawk on defense. His support of the Iraq War cost him among Democrats. Lieberman became an independent, later a founder of the No Labels organization, and his friendship with John McCain was part of his break with the Democratic Party.
I'm here to support John McCain because country matters more than party.
An Orthodox Jew, Lieberman often walked to critical votes in the Senate, moved by faith and a desire for common ground.
Our thanks to Kelly O'Donnell for that report. Joining us now to talk more about Senator Lieberman's legacy is Eugene Scott. He's a senior politics reporter at Axios. Good to have you with us. So Senator Lieberman, he served 24 years in the U.S. Senate, spent 16 years in state government before that. What is his legacy?
You know, Joe, his legacy is primarily being an independent thinker. I tend to think of him as the Democrats' version of John McCain in terms of, you know, being a maverick and not being afraid of going against his party. But the reality is that he did so in a way that probably attracted, you know, quite a bit of criticism from those in his party, because he did it so publicly and boldly in ways that had real consequences and captured headlines in a manner that many Democrats would prefer they not, you know, find themselves in the midst of.
So the fact that he went from top of Democratic ticket to this independent, as someone who endorsed John McCain, he was known for reaching across the aisle. How did that impact his work in the Senate?
Well, it was very beneficial initially. As you know, the Senate is a very small body, and so Democrats frequently work with Republicans to get things done. I mean, at least that was the norm back when Lieberman was in the Senate. But because things are so close and people know each other, the criticism, quite frankly, that he received because he was so critical of some people in his party was hard to ignore. I mean, for him to be in the Senate as a Democrat and not endorse the Democrat who was running for the president from the Senate was no small matter. And it made it very difficult for him to work with other Democrats in the Senate as his career continued.
Let's talk about his life more recently. His group, No Labels, it's this group that's trying to get a third-party candidate to run. So far, not successful in that endeavor. But how is that factoring into this current election? How does that also play into Lieberman's legacy?
Well, it arguably is making his legacy, you know, a bit mixed. I mean, in his final days, he was trying his best to find someone who could run against Joe Biden and Donald Trump, something that Democrats, you know, are probably not going to forget for quite some time. Now, mind you, No Labels has not been successful. They've really struggled to find someone. And he's made the case they want, you know, a split party ticket, maybe a Democrat running as president or a Republican as vice president or vice versa. But nevertheless, he spent his final days not supporting the incumbent president, even though it's worth noting that while his final Senate tenure was as an independent, he did register as a Democrat when he left Connecticut and moved to New York. So he believes that he still was pretty consistent and faithful with his support for the party, even though many of the people in the party don't agree.
All right, Eugene Scott, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate your time. We turn now to a disturbing new trend that has been popping up all over social media. Several women in New York City have reported being punched in broad daylight while simply walking down the street. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk is taking a closer look at this growing number of assaults. Steph, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. You know, what's striking about these stories is how similar they are. In the last month, multiple young women here in New York City have described being hit in the head in the middle of the day just walking down the street, some falling and even suffering from concussions.
The stories are harrowing.
I was literally just walking, and a man came up and punched me in the face. Oh, my God, it hurts so bad.
College student Michaela Tonato says she was just leaving class in Manhattan.
So I just got punched in the face walking home.
He hit me right on my cheekbone. This doesn't hurt as bad as the concussion does.
She says she didn't see it coming.
You've got some visible signs. You have the black eye, but Michaela, emotionally, how are you feeling?
No, it's been really, really hard. I think it hits me in waves. A lot of crying because it was really, really scary.
The NYPD confirms it is looking into at least 4 similar cases, like the one shared on social media. In one of them, police say a 40-year-old man has been arrested and charged with assault.
I was punched in the head in New York City, in Times Square.
But the police have not linked the cases to the videos. In recent days, dozens of accounts of alleged assault have popped up online. NBC News has not been able to verify all the videos. The troubling stories surfacing at the same time there has been a rash of violent crimes on the city's busy subways. In response, the National Guard has been brought in to search bags, and 1,000 additional NYPD officers are now riding the trains, too. But the mayor pushing back on the idea that crime is rampant in this city and expressing concerns that social media is stoking fears.
I know a city out of control because I visit some of them in this country. This is not one of them.
77% of Americans believe crime is on the rise, according to a Gallup poll. Misdemeanor assault is up 10% from this time last year in New York City. But in most places, the FBI says violent crime is down.
I'm really scared to go back to school. I've just been delaying it as long as possible, but I'll have to go back eventually.
Overnight, the NYPD released a statement, Joe, saying that the person that they arrested is a repeat offender. He's actually been arrested 3 times in the last 6 months for similar crimes. That he is what the police call a recidivist. And I had conversations with the NYPD, not just on this story, but on others, including the spate of subway crime that's been going on. They say one of their biggest issues are repeat offenders.
And do they have any idea why this person is doing this, or is it just tough to say at this point?
It's tough to say. They also said that it's not the same person.
Got it.
That they believe at this point it's not the same person.
All right, very good. Stephanie Goss, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting. All right, let's check in with meteorologist Bill Cairns with your Morning News Now forecast. It's opening day, so Bill, time to play ball. I'm having trouble imagining some places like, around the country with the snow and the rain and everything. It might not be a great opening day, but...
Yeah, but it's a big day. Like some families and some fans, it's like a holiday. Like they take off of work, school. It's like a tradition in some families. So opening day, the forecast has not cooperated for a few games, and those games have already been postponed. And that was the Phillies games against the Braves. The Mets game has already been postponed too. We have rain in the Baltimore area and cloudy, damp conditions. And that's the first game of the day. We think that's going to move out. It'll be cloudy. We're going to get that game in. Just bundle up. Chicago looks fine for the White Sox. Home opener there, and Cincinnati looks pretty good. Some of these are in the domes here, so the Tampa game obviously is fine. Same with Houston. World champion, Texas Rangers. That's 72 degrees. That sounds like a beautiful start to your season. Kansas City looks very nice. We are going to see for that Red Sox games with the Mariners a little bit of rainy weather. They should be able to get that in also. Ohtani, Los Angeles. All headlines will be on that as they take on the Cardinals. 65, no problems in L.A. Phoenix looks good. San Diego looks good, too. So a lot of games will get in today without weather problems. Of course, they canceled the ones that needed to be. And all because of this rain streaming up the East Coast here. And we've had some very heavy rain in eastern North Carolina. Right now, we got some steady rain in the Boston area. I've checked the airport delays. They're doing okay. We haven't had really too many big problems out there so far. And as we go through the day, it just kind of stays dreary and wet. I don't think we're going to get the heavy enough rain for any significant flooding. But if you're going through this evening, especially driving on I-95 here, heading from Providence, the loop outside of Boston, that's where the steady rain will be. New York City, it'll be ending right around 7 to 8 p.m., but it's going to be light. And it looks like in Washington, D.C., you're just about done. So flood watches continue from Providence to Boston, the Bangor, Maine, and Portland, from Norfolk, Virginia Beach, all the way back down to the New Bern area, still under those flood watches. And additional rainfall, D.C., it looks like you're pretty much done. Raleigh, you're just about done, too. It's really going to be the Outer Banks and areas of down east Maine and also southern portions of coastal New England that'll have the steadier rainfall. So what does this all mean as we head towards your Easter forecast weekend? So that storm clears. So Friday, Good Friday, it looks very nice. We'll call it a spring delight here. They haven't seen the sun in a couple days in many areas here in the East Coast, so that should be good. Middle of the country continues. It's a beautiful day today. No problems tomorrow into Friday. The next storm comes into the west. That's the one that's going to cause some problems in California this upcoming weekend. Saturday, we're going to have that flood risk in a few isolated areas, maybe some debris flows. It's not like the big, huge storms we got over the winter, but for this time of year, it's a little unusual. So high elevation snows, too. Then by the time we get to Easter Sunday, that storm system begins to head into Arizona, the Four Corner region. Snow in the higher elevations. California will slowly begin to clear out, kind of dreary, and 59 degrees in L.A. with clouds and showers isn't the best Sunday forecast for you for Easter, but at least the heavier, steady rain will be over. The beautiful weather, though, continues throughout the South. And the East Coast, after a pretty miserable March, it looks like we're going to be starting the trend to April. It looks a lot better, Joe, and it can't look worse.
Yeah, I was about to say, we will take it. All right, Bill, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the mega mystery this morning. Who won that billion-dollar lottery jackpot in New Jersey? But first, after the break, it's a different kind of spring break that may not involve beaches or palm trees, but it's still got a whole lot of sun. The travel boom over that upcoming solar eclipse that now has the FAA warning passengers of more delays. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's been a busy spring break travel season, but the FAA is predicting things will actually get busier. Still, the agency warning that rural towns like Radar Base in Texas and Russellville in Arkansas are set to become hotspots. They might not be Miami Beach, but they're ranked among the top places in the country to catch a glimpse of the total solar eclipse that will cast a shadow all over North America in about a week and a half. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now from another eclipse hotspot. That is Cleveland. Jesse, Cleveland, has it ever been so busy during spring break? What can travelers expect over the next week, both by the beach and also across the Midwest?
Yeah, so, Joe, I think this is definitely not your typical spring break season because as opposed to when everyone's trying to get to the sun, a lot of us are trying to be getting away from the sun. They want to see that thing disappear behind the moon when we have that total solar eclipse on April 8th. And when you look at that pathway, right, some of the cities in the pathway, Dallas, Indianapolis, Cleveland, where I am, Burlington, Vermont, Buffalo, New York, these are all cities that probably have some people scratching their heads if they were to look and see at all the flight traffic they're going to be getting. But the FAA is saying that in the run-up to the eclipse, we're expecting the peak of the spring break travel season, almost 100,000 flights combined between next Thursday and Friday in the days before the eclipse. And the FAA is saying that some of the airports in this pathway are going to be seeing unusually high traffic for this time of year. So they're asking people to be keeping an eye out for the possibility of delays.
Eclipse tourism. So which days do we think are going to be the busiest when it comes to travel?
Yeah, so we talked about Thursday and Friday today as well. The FAA says today alone more than 50,000 flights are expected. And then again, Thursday and Friday, that is the peak. Take a look at the numbers there, almost 100,000 combined on those 2 days next week. The eclipse is on April 8th, so this is right before the eclipse weekend. And I can tell you that here in the Cleveland area, for example, there are multi-day events planned. So this is not just on Monday when the eclipse happens. There's going to be stuff going on throughout the weekend, so you can expect people to be, continuing with the influx in the run-up to the actual eclipse day.
Yeah, they're not just going for one day. They're going to soak in everything they can surrounding the eclipse. So how can people travel safely? And remind us, what's NASA recommending to everyone, no matter where you are, to protect yourself during this eclipse?
Yeah, so a couple things to keep in mind. You're going to be outside until that moment of totality. There is sun, so have sunscreen, have protective clothing like you would if you're spending a lot of time outside. But eye protection is absolutely paramount during the eclipse. The only time that NASA says it is safe to be looking directly at the sky with the naked eye is when the sun is completely obscured by the moon. That is the moment of totality. So make sure you know when totality is happening. And at every other moment during the eclipse, when it's a partial eclipse, you must have your eyes covered. Otherwise, you risk severe injury to your eyes. So there are special glasses that you need to have. There's an ISO rating to be keeping an eye out for. NASA's information on this on its website. And if you're going to be using a telescope, binoculars, a camera, you need a special filter for those things. Do not use the eclipse glasses with your telescope because that can also damage your eyes. So this is, no joke. You want to make sure you have the right protection if you're going to be enjoying this safely, Jeff.
And Jesse, do you know, in case folks from the eclipse a few years ago when we went through all this, if they happen to keep their glasses, I would guess maybe you shouldn't be using those. Do you know?
So it's funny, this is something that we asked NASA about, Joe, and it turns out they say you can use your eclipse glasses again. So if you have a glasses from 2017, I have a pair. I was in Carbondale, Illinois at that eclipse, and I still have the glasses from the eclipse. Those are still good to use according to NASA as long as they have not been damaged. So if you kept the keepsake from 2017, make sure it's in good condition. You can test it out by looking at a light in your room, for example, like a desk lamp, something like that, to see as a test, and just incrementally make sure they're working right and make sure there's no visible damage, punctures, anything like that. But as long as they are in good shape, they are still good to use, Joe.
All right, good to know. Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much. Let's get to international news now, starting with the latest out of Ukraine. A new wave of Russian aerial bombs hit the city of Kharkiv for the first time in nearly 2 years. NBC's Claudio Lavanga joins us with that and other world headlines. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. Local authorities in Ukraine said at least one person or civilian was killed and 16 others were injured after Russia carried out a series of airstrikes on the city of Kharkiv. Now, the airstrikes hit several residential buildings and caused widespread damage. Kharkiv is a strategic city and region as it cuts across the front line between Russian and Ukrainian forces. The latest airstrikes follow an escalation in the attacks by Russia, including a recent missile barrage on the capital, Kyiv, that caused severe damage against the country's energy infrastructure. Now let's go to Colombia, where authorities announced they seized almost 4 tons of cocaine worth more than $113 million. Now, the cocaine shipment was seized from a boat in the Caribbean Sea of Colombia in a joint operation between the Colombian Navy, the Colombian Air Force, and the Joint Interagency Task Force of the United States Southern Command. After a dramatic chase that spanned several miles, the boat was finally intercepted off the island of San Andres. 3 people who were on board the speedboat were detained. Authorities say this is the largest cocaine seizure of the year so far, at least. Well, let's end this tour of the world in Thailand, which could become the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize equal rights for marriage partners of any gender. Now, on Wednesday, the lower house of parliament overwhelmingly approved a marriage equality bill, which changes the words men and women and husband and wife to individuals and marriage partners, effectively paving the way to equal rights between heterosexual and LGBTQ plus couples. Now, the bill is now widely expected to be approved by the Senate and the King before it becomes law. Back to you, John.
All right, cool to see that. Claudio, thank you so much. Coming up, a hateful encounter in Idaho, casting a sobering light on those March Madness celebrations this morning. After the break, the Utah players, who police say were the targets of several racial outbursts off the court. We've got more on that investigation next. We're back now with outrage over alleged incidents of racism in Idaho. The University of Utah women's basketball coach says that the team received several racial threats while they were in town to kick off March Madness. Here's NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin.
Racism is real, and it happens, and it's awful.
What was supposed to be a thrilling start to the NCAA tournament turned a shocking racist experience for the Utah women's basketball team as they walked from their hotel to a nearby restaurant.
The vehicle drove by and several racial slurs were yelled by the occupants of the vehicle.
The team, made up of Black, white, and Latina athletes, was staying in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 35 minutes from the Spokane, Washington arena. Surveillance video shows the team inside the restaurant and later leaving, but not the actual incident. After dinner, it happened again. According to the police report, the drivers of 2 trucks revved their engines and yelled the N-word. Coach Lynn Roberts addressed the incident Monday night following their loss to Gonzaga.
For our players and staff to not feel safe in an NCAA tournament environment, it's messed up.
The NCAA and Gonzaga helped the team move to a new hotel as a safety precaution. The FBI says they are prepared to investigate.
To the young women who endured racial slurs while visiting, I offer my most sincere apology.
A press conference Monday to denounce the hate cut short.
You're out of order.
After a man the mayor described as a known white supremacist interrupted.
This press conference is ended.
The area has a long history of racial conflict. The latest, a new stain many locals want no part of.
It is not who we are. It's not what we want to represent.
Dana Griffin, NBC News.
3 years ago, the NBC News family celebrated a very special moment when our colleague Kristen Welker and her husband John announced they were having a baby with the help of a surrogate. Little did the Meet the Press moderator know just how many people the story would touch. That included Fox sportscaster Erin Andrews. This morning, Kristen is telling us more about their connection and how it led Andrews to use her platform to help families explore fertility options and surrogacy.
Hey there, I was so moved when I heard Erin Andrews on the Today Show last summer saying my story brought her some solace during her own fertility and surrogacy journey. So we connected on the phone soon after her son was born, and now we finally met. Both of us now mothers with the help of angels, as we say.
You know how much I cried over you?
And how much I've cried. I got emotional, honestly, this morning, thinking about this conversation.
A conversation months in the making.
I remember Kristen Welker's announcement on your show, you two breaking down, and I actually watched that the morning after Mac was born because that just hit me.
One of the things that touched me so much was that you talked about the fact that sharing my journey really gave you strength.
Because I see myself in you. Kristen, the video of you moderating like debates after you're waiting on bad news or maybe you had just received it, that's me. I can tell you every stand-up I've done at a football game where I've gotten the news that it didn't work. I'd be talking about Tom Brady going for this record, and my record is that, I still was failing.
Erin faced some dark moments, a battle with cervical cancer and 9 years of IVF.
I would have chest pains every time I was waiting for the call if it worked. And I knew it wouldn't work.
She turned to surrogacy.
Did you feel like it's a surreal moment to think about someone else carrying your child?
I knew I didn't have a choice.
The first surrogacy attempt failed, devastating the couple. But soon after a second try, Erin was listening to that priceless sound. A heartbeat.
All I wanted to hear was, it's a good one, it's strong. And it was cool. I'm videotaping it for Jarrett. And then I got to run downstairs because I got a call with the Dallas Cowboys player because we got Green Bay Dallas that weekend for a huge matchup on Sunday.
I think people don't realize about surrogacy is you're so excited to have a child.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily take away from your sadness that you can't carry the child. Did you experience that?
I've been a little insecure and worried that maybe my bond with him isn't as good now because I didn't carry him. There have been thoughts like that.
I had those thoughts too.
Yeah.
And those thoughts go away once he starts really talking.
Yeah. My surrogate is amazing. She is a real life angel. So I know if I couldn't do it, I'm so glad she did it.
Erin, her husband Jarrett, and her surrogate welcomed baby Mac in June of last year.
When it finally hits you that this miracle has arrived and is in front of you, what is that moment like?
Well, when they're screaming at you, it's not as special because you're like, do you know? I feel like Sally Fields and Steel Magnolias. Do you know what your mother went through to have you? No, it's a miracle.
Andrew's now cherishing every minute with her son during her off season.
He is, as Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys head coach, said, wonder where he gets it from. He is vocal. He has a lot to say, and I'm just like, he's all me.
All Erin, who is ever the interviewer.
How have you thought about explaining to Margot about how your journey went?
So I talked to Margot already about her special journey here.
When did that start?
Actually, when she turned 2. I started FaceTiming with her surrogate, and every time we see someone who's pregnant, I say, this mommy is able to carry baby in her tummy.
Yeah.
But mama had a boo-boo in her tummy.
Yeah.
So a special angel carried Margot, and now she knows the name of her surrogate. She says it proudly. And have you thought about how you're going to talk to him?
Yeah, I can't wait to tell him.
But Erin and I are keenly aware that surrogacy is a privilege and out of reach for so many.
It's already hard enough with the emotional toll, and then you add the finances on top of it, and I just got ticked off.
Turning her anger into action, Erin used the My Cause, My Cleats NFL initiative to put a spotlight on the nonprofit Baby Quest, which grants money for infertility treatments and surrogacy. Her shoes featuring the fingerprints of her family next to her surrogates.
I think people don't need to feel embarrassed that they have a surrogate or are looking for other help. And I think you started it, and I appreciate you very much for that.
Well, I appreciate you because I have to say, when you spoke out, I felt less alone. So thank you, and I really mean that. The best part about this, Erin and I are now committed to finding ways to make fertility services more accessible to families all across the country. Back to you.
All right, Kristen and Erin, thank you both for sharing your stories. As if New Yorkers needed to see more price hikes, the cost of driving in Manhattan it's about to go up. That's because the Transportation Board approved a controversial plan to charge drivers a congestion toll. The idea is to reduce traffic and pollution in the city, although it's now bringing major backlash. Reporter Andrew Siff from our New York affiliate WNBC has the details.
Promised for years as the solution to gridlock and an antiquated subway system.
Give us the tools. We'll get it done.
The MTA board took a vote today.
Strongly, yes.
This is a true victory for our city and for our region.
With a lone opponent.
I'm voting no.
The motion is approved.
The 11-to-1 passage means congestion pricing gets the green light unless there's a court order. Cars face a toll of $15. Trucks between $24 and $36, starting June 15th. The only exemptions, school buses, commuter buses, and essential government vehicles.
We're not talking about commissioners' vehicles. We're not talking about elected official vehicles. Those are specifically and categorically not exempt.
Commuters in the nation's largest mass transit system have been promised the $15 billion raised by congestion pricing will modernize the system.
We'll see. We'll see if it happens. I'd love to see it.
Drivers have been told their new expense is worth it because roads will be unclogged.
We have to adjust. Hopefully, the overall cost of living will increase.
But opponents pointing to next week, that federal court hearing a lawsuit from New Jersey leaders and the New York City Teachers Union, whose president predicts gridlock will move to other neighborhoods. Quote, it is going to be up to the courts to prevent the huge environmental injustice.
The court process has been scheduled to be resolved before we are going to start congestion pricing. We're very confident about the outcome.
Our thanks to Andrew Siff for that report. Stay with us. We've got much more morning news now, right after the break. Welcome back. Soon you might need to take a closer look at the price tags at your neighborhood dollar store. Dollar Tree announced this week that there will be a new maximum price at stores. More than 300 items will now range in price from $1.50 to $7. That's according to the company's most recent earnings call. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans has more on what's behind the hike.
Hey there, once upon a time there was penny candy, the dime store, and of course today the dollar stores. It can be an eclectic array of items, all super cheap, but inflation and a rich new clientele have come for those price tags.
Everything's $1, so everybody leaves happy.
Call it the dollar-ish store. At Dollar Tree, true dollar prices are a thing of the past. The discount giant is raising prices again, some items as high as $7. The company also announced sister brand Family Dollar will close nearly 1,000 stores starting this year.
Tell me the truth. Are you still going to be shopping at Dollar Tree when prices raised to $7 an item?
Shoppers taking to social media to complain about higher prices.
Yo, at this point, I am just so sick of everything.
Okay, change the name. Wealthy Tree. Fortune Tree.
In a call with investors last week, the company said to expect a $5 bag of dog food next to a $1.25 bag of pet treats, calling it a multi-price assortment. The reason? A combination of inflation and an influx of higher income customers who can better afford it.
Why are people who are making $100,000 a year or more shopping at a dollar store?
So there's a lot of price pressures that are impacting consumers. They're going out to buy goods and services and looking for places to cut.
It's been a few years since things were actually $1 at the dollar store. After 35 years in 2021, a dollar minimum price became $1.25 at Dollar Tree. Now, over 300 new items will range from $1.50 to $7. Other famously cheap deals also undergoing recent changes. Trader Joe's raising single banana prices from 19 to 23 cents. And what about that $1.50 Costco hot dog and soda combo? According to Axios, an outgoing Costco executive says proof of membership will soon be required at some outdoor food court locations. At dollar stores, the most likely price hikes will be on food, pet supplies, and personal care items.
Once you have the consumer in the door, they are going to make that purchase.
More than a pretty penny for many cash-strapped families.
When it comes to deciding between a trip to the grocery store or the dollar store, think about what you're planning to buy. Canned goods, for example, might be cheaper on sale at a regular grocery store or big box store. But for household items like wipes or diapers, a dollar store may be the better bet. Back to you.
All right, some good advice, Christine. Thank you. Even more money news now. The Department of Labor just released its latest unemployment numbers. CNBC's Silvana Henao is here to break that down for us, along with other news that affects your wallet. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. Yeah, we are getting a fresh read on the economy. Initial filings for unemployment benefits total 210,000. That's lower than the 211,000 expected by economists. Still, we're seeing kind of the strength in the job market. We'll see what this means for the Fed at the next meeting. All right, Walmart is reportedly withdrawing and refiling antitrust paperwork connected to its $2.3 billion deal to acquire TV maker Vizio. The move is meant to give federal agencies more time to review the proposed acquisition. Now, that's according to an SEC filing, which also says the decision follows informal conversations with the Federal Trade Commission and Justice Department. Walmart announced the deal back in February. The retailer hopes to grow its high-profit ad business through Vizio's free streaming service. And if you ever ordered a hot dog and wished you could get the water along with it, well, you're in luck. 7-Eleven has teamed up with Miracle Seltzer to create a lineup of sparkling waters that will include a flavor based on the convenience store's Big Bite hot dog. If you're not feeling that adventurous, well, you can try a more traditional flavor like lemon lime or sweet orange. Joe, I think I just threw up in my mouth.
Who wants that? Name one person who wants hot dog water.
Oh, God, I don't know.
All right, well, oh, no.
I guess somebody wants it.
I will taste test just about anything, but not that. So,
not that.
All right.
Not that. The thought of it is just, it's gross.
All right. We'll see how that goes. Savannah, thank you so much.
You got it.
All right, well, the vast majority of us who have to head to work this morning, one person from New Jersey could cash in on a $1 billion lottery jackpot. Now, it's been more than 32 hours since that winning Mega Millions ticket was sold. No one's come forward yet to claim it. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is on the case.
Hey there, well, I live in New Jersey and can tell you who definitely did not win. Lottery officials know where and when that winning ticket was purchased and even who sold it. But the person who is now $1.13 billion richer remains a mega mystery.
The Garden State just got a little greener. Someone who purchased a lottery ticket Tuesday in Neptune Township, New Jersey, won the Mega Millions jackpot. But the $1.13 billion question this morning, who?
Right now, sign the back of the ticket, take a picture of it, make a copy of it, and put it in a safe place.
A 2020 New Jersey law allows lottery winners to remain anonymous, and James Carey encourages the winner to do just that.
Tell only your closest loved ones that you were this lucky winner, and then I would urge you, go out and talk to a lawyer and maybe a financial advisor.
While the winner remains a mega mystery this morning.
There were so many people that came through, I cannot remember. I always say, you're the lucky one, that I'm going to get a ticket, I'm going to win.
Tiana Bambada is the next closest thing.
Somebody won.
She printed out the winning ticket at this ShopRite less than an hour after she sold one to her own mom.
It should have been my ticket. I said, you're going to sell the winning ticket. And what did she do? She sold the winning ticket.
The newly minted billionaire did not use randomly selected numbers through Quick Pick, but instead individually chose them. 6 decisions that proved to be life-changing.
Let's see if I can make you a billionaire tonight.
At $1.13 billion, this marks the 5th largest prize in Mega Millions history. When purchasing the ticket, the winner opted to receive 30 annual payments. Those will start at $11.5 million after taxes. Sam Rossi has his own winning ticket for
$10
and is ready to test his luck again.
I'm buying a Powerball ticket here. It's good luck.
Well, sorry to say, Sam, you didn't win Powerball either, but no one else did either. So that jackpot is now at $935 million. By the way, the store that sells the winning ticket also gets a prize. The owner of the ShopRite is donating his $30,000 to a local food bank. Back to you.
So close to selling that winning ticket to her mom. Emily, thank you so much. Coming up, baseball fans, your time has finally come back around. It is the MLB's opening day. But what sort of changes are on the rule roster this season, and what can fans expect when players take the field? We're going to step into the batter's box next. Welcome back. Whoopi Goldberg has confirmed that Sister Act 3 is still in development after it was initially announced back in 2020. She told People that the long-awaited movie is still coming, adding it's percolating. The original hit movie came out back in 1992, then a sequel came out the following year. Sister Act has also become a musical on Broadway. For this new movie, Goldberg is set to reprise her role as Dolores, and she's co-producing with Tyler Perry. And as you may have guessed, no release date or filming start has been announced yet, but we're certainly looking forward to it. Finally this hour, it is time for baseball fans to rejoice. Grab those peanuts and Cracker Jack. Today, of course, is opening day across MLB. So cue those dreams of your favorite team winning it all in the Fall Classic. Boys of Summer are finally back in action after a busy offseason. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky joins us now from the home of the reigning World Series champs, the Texas Rangers. Morgan, good morning.
And Joe, good morning. No better place to be than inside a ballpark on opening day. So many baseball fans excited to see the sport finally back. And even though the first pitch of the 2024 season hasn't even been thrown, I have to tell you, Joe, that there are new rules, new uniforms, and more than enough drama to go into extra innings. This morning, baseball fans counting down. Now just hours from the official start of opening day.
I'm off today, tomorrow, and Friday.
Seoul, South Korea, hosting a soft launch between the Dodgers and Padres. But today, it's batter up for MLB's other teams.
It's a religious holiday for me.
The 2023 World Series champs, the Texas Rangers, set to unveil their championship banner. Four-time World Series winning manager Bruce Bochy telling his team to soak up every second. How special is it going to be when you look up and you see that banner come down?
I mean, chills will go down your spine.
The new season also bringing new rules focused on speeding up the pace of play. Mound visits adjusted from 5 to 4. Any pitcher who warms up must now face at least one batter. And the polarizing pitch clock lowered from 20 to 18 seconds with runners on base. Player uniforms changing too, designed for performance in that sweltering summer heat. But not everyone, including players and fans, are giving them the green light.
I don't know what to think of them.
And the show must go on for the Dodgers' $700 million man, Shohei Ohtani. The two-way superstar still dealing with fallout from a gambling scandal involving his longtime interpreter. And if baseball isn't enough, some fans getting a show too. San Francisco's Oracle Park unleashing one-of-a-kind lights for night games.
We will be the first MLB ballpark to have spotlights.
In San Diego, how about pickleballing at the Padres Park? If you work up an appetite, hold the beer and Cracker Jacks. Executive chefs now man the grill at many ballparks. The Seattle Mariners offering a Dungeness crab pizza, while White Sox fans can indulge in empanadas, smash burgers, and yes, Jack and Coke floats. And back out here live in Arlington, the humble but beloved Ballpark Nacho Joe. A little bit of baseball trivia for you. This beloved dish actually made its big league debut right here at a Rangers game back in 1976. And, we have those new rules going into effect this year. I checked the rule book, Joe. There is absolutely nothing that says you can't dig into some nachos and enjoy them for breakfast on opening day. It's beautiful. It's a
totally
beautiful
allowed. No cheese on the shirt or anything, and everything truly is bigger in Texas, including the nachos.
We're good.
Morgan, thank you so much. Happy opening day. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.